You want to ruin trust fast? By all means, keep using the sandwich method for feedback delivery, for your partners and for everyone else. I'm Dr. Eyal Ronen, and this is the Partnership Kitchen, where smart relationships grow again. And you all know the sandwich method for feedback, right? It's where you give someone a compliment and praise them for something, and then you give them some negative feedback, really what you came here and what you wanted to share with them, and then you end with another compliment, something really positive, right? To end on a high note. And I know this is what we've been taught for years, but I have to tell you, the sandwich method is broken. It's flawed. I think it never worked to begin with. But in any case, let's see why it doesn't work. First of all, when you hear someone telling me, you know, everything is great, what is the first thing that comes into my mind? I'm waiting for that but, right? You're a great person, but. It's almost like, you all know this, the phone call from the school's nurse, right? Hi, this is the school's nurse. Everything is okay, but your child is here on the floor with high fever and cuts and bruises all over their body, right? We're waiting for that but. We know that when someone is telling me everything is great, or you're an awesome person, you're an awesome leader, but. So people are waiting for that stab in the back, and that's how they perceive it. So they don't really hear the positive comment that you made because they're waiting for the negative. And then you give them that negative feedback that you want to share with them, that thought, and you end on that supposedly high note, which they don't even notice either. What happens to how they see you? So the truth is that you come across as less of a leader because it's like you weren't able to come in and just tell them what it is that you wanted to share. You were not able to be direct. It's also really bad for trust because it's like you're adding all this fluff around the message, which dilutes the message. So you're perceived as less of a leader, it worsens trust, and it also dilutes the message because of lack of clarity. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So stop the sandwich. I will teach you exactly what I recommend doing that helps with conveying negative messages. But I'll give you another example. So there's a partner that I had a conversation with, someone who is in a business partnership, someone they've been working together for a long time. And there was one thing that really bothered the person that I spoke with. What bothered him was that his partner, they made agreements about how to proceed about something. They made the agreement in private. And then when they met with their team, they went publicly, the other partner would overrule them in public. So they agreed on something in private, and then they were overruled in public. That made them feel really bad, and it caused a lot of tension inside of that partnership. Every time the person I spoke with was planning to come in and share the feedback, here's what it looked like. They went into the room and said, gotta tell you, I love how you lead our sales team. Things are going great. Do me a favor, next time when we're in a team meeting, please, when we agree on something in private, don't change your mind in front of everyone else. It makes us look bad. But you know, the partnership is great and we're doing great and I'm so happy with how the business is going. Think of that conversation. The person who heard the feedback, what are they thinking? What did that person even want? So it's extremely confusing. We don't know what the core message was often. The second thing is, think of the person that I spoke with. They don't come across as a true leader, right? And I'll tell you what is happening now. In this partnership, because they avoided having the tougher conversations, they're now working on a split up. They're breaking up their partnership. They're now accumulating tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. And they could have avoided that if they only had the tough conversations when the things started happening. If they shared openly and listened carefully to one another. But this is not what happened. So what do I recommend? So first of all, first thing you need to know is you need to separate the messages. What do I mean? I mean that if you have something positive to say it. Have a positive conversation that talks about specific positive things. So split up the message. If it's positive, by all means, say something positive, and I'll make another video on how to do what I call strategic recognition when you want to give positive feedback. But if you have something negative to say, that's totally fine. Don't be afraid of it. It's important to share that with your partner. By the way, it's not just for partners. It works incredibly well for romantic relationships, so with your spouse, with your children, with your adult parents, with your siblings, with your employees. This is a method that works anytime you have a tough message to deliver. So what do you need to do? First of all, recognize you need to separate the messages. Second, you need to plan ahead. So the plan is really important. Don't just do it on the go. Be specific and be very mindful of the conversation that you want to have. Second thing you need to do is you need to have a clear goal. Now, there's probably nothing more important that I will teach you in this video than this very point. Have a clear goal. What do I mean by that? Know what your desired outcome is. What would you like to see happen at the end of this conversation? What is the desired outcome? It's not just getting something off your chest. There is a result that you want to see happen in the real world. You want the partner to stop overruling you in public. You want to grow closer as partners. You want to feel more confident or comfortable about being able to show up in sales conversations together. Think about what is the desired outcome. What would you like to see happen at the end of this process? Third thing you need to pay attention to is the setting. Good. So setting. The setting means the framing of the conversation. Where do we sit? Do we schedule the meeting ahead of time? Making sure that we have enough time for the conversation so it can't be terribly rushed. When it's a tough conversation, we need to have the bandwidth and the space for it, time-wise and emotionally. Make sure that there are no interruptions. So having this little device on your desk face up sends a very clear message that you're here, but you're also somewhere else. By the way, even if it's face down, it conveys the same message. So try to avoid electronics if at all possible. So the setting and the environment of the conversation is really important. Next, when you talk about what it is that you want to talk about, I want you to be direct. And being direct is saying what you actually mean. I'll give you an example. There's something that I know about myself. And for me, I have an issue when I'm not understanding what someone is trying to tell me. And it's when I can't hear them well, or when what they're saying is so confusing and so convoluted that I can't understand it. I remember a time when I had a conversation with a partner saying, look, I have to tell you, I have an issue that I get really impatient when I'm not understanding what someone is telling me. I know it's something that I need to work on and I'm committed to that, but I want to ask you for a favor. When you share something with me, do me a favor and plan ahead. Know exactly what you want to tell me so we can have a very structured conversation that is detailed and that will help us move forward. So plan ahead, please. Okay. So I was very clear on what I was asking. I mentioned what it was doing to me, which is fine. I was also taking responsibility for my part in this equation. But this is a specific example. It's not always going to be this case. Don't feel like you always need to own this. I didn't own it. I was asking for a change in the behavior of the other person. And that's another point in being direct. Don't tell them, I hate how you speak. Okay? Or even worse, right? You are never clear. Or I can never understand you. Things I've heard people say. Now, when we build up this annoyance inside of us, it sometimes comes out in the way that is not precisely how we would like it to come out. So be direct, but also, and that's the last point in how to structure this tough conversation, it's I want you to also be kind. Okay, so we need to plan ahead. We need to know what the desired outcome is. We need to create the environment in the setting. We need to be direct and tell them exactly what we want, but we also need to be kind. Kind doesn't mean to end on that positive note, but it means not being malicious, not trying to stab them in the back, not telling them how they're always wrong, or anything that's always is bad. So don't do that. I think I just gave an always statement in any case. So remember this, have the tough conversations, because if you avoid them, these become dark spots in the partnership. Dark spots, meaning areas in the partnership that you're not willing to shed light upon, you're not willing to expose with the tough conversations, end up being those things that we split up because of. These are avoidable. Separate the message, have the tough conversations, and I'll see you soon.